Hi guys, it's Katie. Today I'm gonna make and can some sweet pickle relish, and I thought I would bring you along for the fun. I'm using the recipe from the National Center for Home Food Preservation. I've made sweet pickle relish one time before. I think I used a different recipe because it called for celery seed, and this one does not call for celery seed. So I didn't care for the celery seed. So hopefully this will be a better recipe for us. Last time I used English cucumbers. This time I got some of these pickling cucumbers from the farmer's market. There wasn't a ton at the farmer's market that weren't super overgrown, so I just got the smallest ones I could find. And so I'm going to chop them up and see how much I have of the cucumbers, and then I'll have to adjust everything else and make a smaller batch. So what I'm doing is I'm going to scrape out the seeds. In the pickling cucumbers are much smaller, but there's still, quite a bit of them because these are a bit fatter than I probably would like. This is more like the size that you want for pickles and things like that. But once they get a little bigger, there's a little bit too much seed. So I'm just going to take my spoon. I'm going to do it over my compost, but I'm just going to scrape once or twice to get, the majority of those seeds out. And this is what I did with the English cucumbers as well. So it looks like that, and then I'll just cut it into little cubes, dice it up. And then once I get this all diced up, we'll see how much of everything else we need, and then we'll get going.
Making cakes because it had white and blue and yellow and red, all because of
It's going to be about half a recipe. Alright, next I'm going to chop up some bell pepper. So, sweet bell pepper. I used red and green, and I had a little yellow. And some onion. Chopped way too much onion. I'll put that in. Put this in a container for later. Let's see, I want to just give this a stir and make sure the proportions look okay. And let's see. I think this looks okay. This recipe is quite a bit different than the one I made before. This one is a little bit more prep. I'm supposed to put ice water on these and let them stand on the vegetables. And then I'll mix up the vinegar, the spices, and the sugar and bring that to a boil, put it over the vegetables, and then they'll sit in the refrigerator for 24 hours. And then I'll have to can this another day. So this looks okay. So I'm going to cover this with ice water and let it stand for 4 hours. Alright, so let's see how stubborn I am. If in the next clip this is in a different container, or if there's a big mess all over my counter. We'll see. Just gonna let this stand. And I'm gonna go ahead and mix up with the spices right now so that they're ready to go when I'm ready to make my vinegar solution. So I need mustard seed, turmeric, which I'm assuming is ground turmeric, whole allspice, and whole clove. Let me get that ready. I'm gonna put this in the refrigerator. And it says to put the spices in a cheesecake. I have these little paper coffee filters, so that's what I'm gonna use. I have whole allspice, but I don't have whole cloves, if you can believe that. I'll have to pick some up, but I'll get the rest of this ready. go. Alright, so I'm just going to set this aside for now, and I'll see you in 4 hours. Or 4 seconds. Alright, so I soaked my vegetables in the salt water, and they soaked for a little more than 4 hours, but I drained them, I soaked them in fresh water, and I just drained that. So these are ready to go. I got my spices here. I did get my cloves, so I have my 4 spices in this little bag, and I'm just now getting ready to make my vinegar solution, and I'm going to warm it up and steep those spices and get that nice and hot. I went to the store to get cloves, and I usually buy things like that in the like in H Mart or like little international supermarkets. You can always find spices much cheaper there. But I needed to just stop at this supermarket, and I went to the spice aisle, and I was looking, they have those little McCormick ones, those little tiny ones that are like that big. It was $7.99 for whole cloves. So I looked to see if they had an international section, and they had this, which is like at least twice the amount. This brand, there's another one, I think it's called like Del Rio is another brand that you can find. And a lot of times they're like in these great big bags you can get for just a few bucks. But anyway, this bottle was $2.59, and it looks perfectly fine. It looks and smells very clovey. So if you're in the market for spices, whether it's whole or ground or whatever, there's a lot of options you can get for a lot cheaper. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. This one, Black's Me, is another brand that you can get. Like this big whole bag filled up with coriander seeds was probably like $3. And this one is Deep brand. Got our vinegar. And the sugar. Okay, and my little spice bag. And let me stir this sugar in. And put the spices in. Bring that to a boil. Alright, so I let that cool down a little bit, let it steep for a little while, and I'm going to pour that over the vegetables, seal it up, put it in the fridge, and let it sit for 24 hours, and then we'll can it up. I think I'm going to leave that little baggie with the spices in there. Pressing this down to get it all under. Alright guys, I'm getting ready to can up this relish. I was gonna set up and start filming, but I thought I would show you how I set up, because I set up the same way every time I can. That way I don't forget anything. So the first thing I do is I set up a towel. This is just one of my thicker kitchen towels. This just catches any spills, catches the drips off of the jars as they come out of the canner, and just generally keeps things neat and tidy. And also, if there were something to like spill all over or something terrible to happen, I could just replace this towel out and put a new towel down and keep going. Since it's kind of an assembly line when you're canning, you don't want anything that you'd have to stop your whole process. So this could be quickly switched out. I also have 2 rags here, and you really only need one, but I like to have 2. I can use it as a hot pad if I lose track of my hot pad while things are really getting going, and then if something spills, I can wipe up with one, and I have an extra one. So I have my 2 rags, and then I have some little dishes. So I will have one little dish that I can set my funnel on. So I have my canning funnel that just keeps things clean. I have one bowl for my lids and rings. I'm using Tatler lids. These are awesome. They're reusable, and I will put an Amazon link. That's where I get them at the best price, is Amazon. I have my lids here, and then I have another dish that I'm going to put a little bit of vinegar to clean the rims. Sometimes, honestly, I'll use some of the water from my lids here to wipe the rims, but if you're doing anything that has any meat or fat in it, having the vinegar just cuts that film of oil in case that gets spilled on your rim of your jar, and just keeps your chances of getting a good seal higher. Right. Then I have my other tools. I have my jar lifter, I have my little debubbler headspace checker wand, and then this. I don't really use this so much anymore since I use the plastic Tatler lids, but I kind of keep them all together in the same place. So this was a 4-pack of tools. I have my 4 packs of tools. I have a kettle full of hot water. I'm going to put some here on the lids. These are supposed to be scalded. And then I want to make sure I have a hot kettle in case I need to top off my canner. Okay. And then I have my bands for my lids. Put a little vinegar in this dish for me to wipe my rims with. Okay, and from here I'm ready to can. I have my canner warming up here. I have my jars in there sterilizing, and I'm about to pull the relish out, and I'm going to heat it up on this burner. So I like my pot to be the one closest to my canning station, since this is where I'm going to be ladling out of. So here is what the relish looks like. It smells very, very good. This guy has done his job. I was thinking of leaving it in the relish while I warm it up, but I'm kind of afraid that it's just gonna like burst open if I try to be too vigorous with it. So I figured it's done its job by now, so we'll just discard that. I'm gonna give this a stir. Oh yeah, I really like the color of this. I wonder if it'll keep after it cans, but that turmeric really gives it that sort of day glow color without food coloring. The reason why I like to make my own relish is because the commercial relish has incredibly troubling ingredients for the fact that it's just, supposed to just be pickle relish. But there's all sorts of stabilizers, preservatives, sodium benzoate, food coloring, and pretty much every kind of pickle and relish and things like that. At least like the major brands. If you buy organic, it's usually easier to avoid those things. And then if you buy at certain stores, I've noticed Aldi and Lidl both have a no added food coloring policy at their stores. So I have gotten the relish there with no food coloring, but it still has the sodium benzoate. So I'm just going to give this a little taste to see what it tastes like right now. Now, of course, the flavor will change slightly as it cooks, but that's very, very good. Much better than the last recipe I did. I just was not enjoying the celery seed flavor. So I'm going to bring this up to a boil. And then just when it comes to a boil, we'll get started. All right, so the relish is boiling. Try to sit you up where you can see all the action. I'm going to turn this off and bring it way over here so I don't make a mess on my stove. Get the first jar out. And get to filling. And then I always cover my canner up. Keeps everything from getting too hot. And I will just let these sit here overnight. And tomorrow I'll wash the jars, take the bands off, label them, and put them on my shelf. So I got 6 half pints, and then this one is nearly full, but I didn't process it, so I'll stick it straight in the fridge. And should last us a good while. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye! Like, comment, subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe.